All right, here's a short video showing some of the fossils that I found on about 3 or 4 trips to Calvert Cliffs earlier this year. On this first plate, you can see I've got quite a variety of different fossil shark teeth. There's a few shark or fish teeth on here as well. That's your fairly common tiger shark. That's the contortus variety. The other tiger commonly found, the Aduncus variety. And some snaggletooth teeth, also known as a hemi, short for Hemipristis sara. That's an upper. And for comparison, this is a lower tooth here in this hand. I also have a couple of what we used to call makos, now called lesser white shark teeth. And here on the plate in this general area are a variety of sand tigers. Here's a fairly nice example with both of its side cusplets still present. Here's a thresher shark tooth. On a couple of these particular trips, the conditions weren't actually all that great for finding larger teeth, so I resorted to a special type of collecting I like to refer to, whereby I tend to find more micros. And so, I don't know if it's in the image, hopefully so. This is an angel shark tooth. Kind of hard to hold it. There we go. And I've got about 4 or 5 of them from the variety of trips. Here's a barracuda fish tooth. And some of these real tiny teeth are examples of sharp nose shark teeth. Pretty small. Oop. And here we have an example of a decent dolphin tooth. Found a couple of those. And over here off to the side, over here are a bunch of teeth from the various carcharodonid sharks, like silky sharks, copper sharks, things of that nature. And then moving on to a different plate, got some slightly larger teeth on this plate. Here's a nice example of, again, what we used to call a mako. It's now called a lesser white. It's about 1 3/4 or so. It's another nice example. A couple of slightly larger snaggletooth teeth. The Hemipristis, it's an upper. And again, here's an example of a lower, right there. There's a nice sized chunk of a stingray barb. Have to forgive my voice. I'm coming down with a cold. And this is maybe not all that obvious, but it's actually a small piece of a fish jaw right there. And that right there would be the occlusal surface where the teeth would have been. They're pretty much worn off. Not sure what kind of fish that would have gone to. And of course, some of my favorites, some cow shark teeth. On this particular trip, one of my sons was with me, and I found this posterior lower cow shark tooth, and he found this posterior lower cow shark tooth. So that was pretty exciting. Here's a really nice example of a hammerhead shark tooth. One of the things that makes it easier to determine these from some of the more common carcharinids are like this one here. This tooth has serrations, fine serrations on it, whereas this species of shark, there's no serrations on the blade, and this one has a fairly deep nutrient groove right here in the middle of the root. It's a nice complete example of a hammerhead. And here's a slightly pathological tooth. You can see that it's actually got two tips. Some of the root over here is broken off, but don't find these very often. Not too common where I collect, so it's kind of a neat find. And moving on to another plate, you can see I've got a variety of some shells. Believe it or not, I'm excited to sometimes find these particular type of shells. I think these are scallops. They're very thin and very fragile. Never find both valves together though. And here's a really nice shark disc or shark vertebrae. And this one happens to be from a lamnid type shark, something like a mako, or possibly from a megalodon. If it was from a megalodon, it would have to be from probably a juvenile or neonatal, since it's so small. So it's most likely from a mako type shark. And the way we can tell that is by these little grooves here on the side of the vertebrae. These are characteristic of lamnid, the family of lamnid sharks. Whereas when you find a shark vertebrae that looks like this, and the septa, which is the name for these holes, I believe, carcharinid sharks have these two like that, versus all these little narrow ones. And then last but not least, one of the prize finds for one of my trips was this fairly nice megalodon. It measures right at about 3 1/8 inches along this longer slant. You can see it's got a little bit of feeding damage to the tip. Otherwise it would have measured in somewhere right around 3 1/4. But still very nice looking tooth, and I was pretty excited to find it. And then the rest of the teeth on this plate are what I consider scraps, although that would have been a really nice tooth if it were complete. It's very sharp still. But these are my scraps, and stuff like this I don't keep any longer, and I usually accumulate a few pounds of this and then donate it to either the Calvert Marine Museum or give it away to friends and family with children and so forth. Thanks for looking. Take care. God bless.